Welcome to the Pansy Garden Procreate brush set, created by me, Eris Klein. I'm so excited to share this brush set with you. It's a multicolor, multi-dimensional brush set, just rich with life. I'm not really sure there's too many brush sets out there quite like this. So let's take a look at how this brush set works. When you first open the Pansy brush set, you will see that each brush has a name, and then it will tell you whether it's a one color or two color brush. And lastly, it tells you whether it is a stamp or a brush. A stamp is where you just tap the canvas with your stylus, and a brush is where you literally do that. You brush across the canvas to create the image. This makes it very clear what each brush is and what it does, so that you can create easily. If you've never used a two-color brush, this is how you do it. You go over to your color picker here, and I can see that that little round circle there, it's filled with white. So that means my brush is going to have white on it. So I'll click it, and if you haven't downloaded the Pansy Garden Color Palette, you can, or you can use some of your own colors. But I need to pick two colors somehow. So let's say I'm going to use a dark purple and a lemony yellow. So let's see. Okay, so then I would go ahead and pick my dark color. Let's see. Do I want a real dark purple or just a purpley purple? There we go, maybe that. And then if you look, wait, where do you set the second color? Well, here is where you get it. When you're in the palettes, you're only going to see one color. But then if you go down here, there's 4 different palettes that you can choose colors from. They're just different formats. They're the same thing. You pick colors from them. They're just different formats. My favorite one is the Classic because it looks the most like Photoshop, and I've used Photoshop for decades, so it feels most comfortable to me. All right, so there's my Pansy Garden. I can pick more colors, but look, there we go. Up here are 2 little swatches. That's where you can place a primary color, which is on the left-hand side, and a secondary color, which you'll see showing on the right-hand side. So right now it says my primary color is purple, and I also, just to double check if the purple is also up in that little round circle there, and then the second one on the right is my secondary color. Well, I really want the purple to be my secondary color. All right, so let's do this. We got to get purple into the right-hand side. That's the darker color. There we go. Now the purple is in there. And then I'm going to click the little swatch on the left-hand side and pick my primary color. And double check that it's showing up here too. You want your primary color to show up there. Because look, I could click here, and even though the left and right look correct for me, if I look up here, this is going to end up being the primary color. It kind of like overrides it. So be careful to make sure that the left sides and the circle up here are the same color. That's something I struggled with when I first started Procreate. I was like, why is it switching my colors? So let's try one of the brushes. I'm going to click the brushes. I'm going to go for the number 1 Full Pansy 2-color brush. And I already set the colors I want. And this particular brush, a number of, like all the flower brushes are like rubber stamps. You just have to go click and it, stamp it, and it's like this multicolored stamp. So let's try it. Here we go. Bam! There you go. Multicolored flower, just like that. And then if I want to resize it, let's see, I have it on layer 1. I'm going to go to the little arrow, which is a transformation tool, and I can resize or rotate, and then click the arrow again and place it where I want it. Also, you can build on these brushes if you want to. If you want to go ahead and add a little bit more detailing, you could click the plus sign, click that second layer, turn it to a clipping mask, and with the clipping mask, it'll mask everything off except for the object below it so that I can add highlights without overpainting anything. So maybe I want to, beef this up a little bit and add a little bit more color. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make one more stamp just to show you. I'll do it a little faster this time. Here we go. Voila! And I have my other pansy. The sky's the limit. I mean, you don't have to make these colors. You can make any color pansy you want. But just understanding how those brushes work will be very helpful for you. Another brush that is available is the Pollen brush. Now this is the only one in the set that's only one color. Pansies have like a little bit of it looks like white fuzzy stuff right about there, and that's pollen. They're actually little fuzzy filaments. And just to be realistic, I gave you a pollen brush. And usually the pollen is white. So I'm going to select white, and it's just a one color, so I only have to worry about that one color there. And let's add a little bit here. I'll go to Pansy 1 and add just a little bit. Let's see how big this is. Make it a little smaller. Whoop. They're just little tiny fuzzy filaments right there. Okay, all right, so now in Pansy 2, I can go in and add a little bit of that too. And you just brush it on. You brush the pollen right on there. In addition to creating a full pansy that uses 2 colors, you can create your pansy with parts and push it up to 4 colors or 3 colors. Let's take a look at those brushes. Down at the bottom here, I have pansies broken into parts. So here's like a top of a pansy, number 1 top pansy, number 1 lower pansy, and then number 2 top pansy and number 2 lower pansy. That's where I break the pansy into parts so that I give you more options and flexibility to actually add 3 or 4 colors to your pansy. Let's take a look at one that I created earlier. Let's see, here is a top of a pansy, and then on the next layer I created a bottom of a pansy. And the top I used pink and purple, and in the bottom I used sort of a lemon yellow and a royal blue. I mean, the sky's the limit. You can just decide how you want to create your pansies, so you can either use the brushes that are full pansies, or you can go down here and break them up into parts and assign them like different colors. Now that I have some pansies, I can also create some stems, leaves, and a bud. Why don't I start with the bud, and I'll show you how that works. I'll put a little stem for the bud. Why don't I do that? Okay, there are 2 stems that I could choose, a smooth one or a ridged one. I'll try a ridged one. I already put in 2 colors for it. Okay, I'm going to pull this over a little, and I think I'll put my stem right here. And then I'm going to put a cap for the bud, and then I'll put the bud. Okay, so there's the stem. I'll put the cap on a separate layer just in case I need to move it. And I'll get the cap. Let's see. There's the bud cap. It's also 2 color. There we go. And then I can rotate it a little if I want or whatever. Okay, and then I'm going to add the bud. And I'll create a new layer for that and pull it all the way underneath the cap. So here we go. Come on. All right. So this will be the bud. All right, so there we go. I have my layer named for the bud, the cap, and the stem. All right. I'll make a bud using these colors. And I'll get the bud 2 color brush. There we go. And now I'm just going to go ahead, I select the transform tool, I have it on uniform, and I'm just going to move it up underneath the cap, and I can resize it or reshape it a little if I want to. And there we go. It's that simple. Okay, I've created a layer here for my leaves, and I'm just going to practice using the leaves before I actually make them for my final composition. And I'll go to the brushes, and you'll see that there's, let's see, there's 2 kinds of leaves, and there's even a clover vine here. So I would first practice these before you add them to your composition. They're all 2 color, so here's the pansy leaf, 2 color. I'll go in, let's see, here's my palettes. You know, once you select your palette, it will add it to these other, like the classic and the harmony and all that for you. It's just in the beginning, you might not see it. So there we go, there's my Pansy Garden palette. And I'm going to pick a deep veggie green as the dark color, and a light veggie green, almost a yellow, like a lime green for the lighter color. So start with the dark color. All right, click one of those, and okay, now I'm ready. Get my pansy leaf brush, and we're going to practice making some leaves. What I'm going to do is, this particular leaf brush requires a light touch and a sort of quick motion. So you need to practice that, and also keep your pen somewhat, not angled, but a little bit upright. 90 degrees or a little bit angled is fine, but don't angle it too far. All right, so let's try it. Okay, so the first stroke, there we go. Woo! I could make skinny like that, skinny and long. Let's try a short, fat, luscious leaf. Let's see, I'll make it a little bigger. There we go. Oh, those are looking pretty good. Now, I have a lot of practice, but this is a light, quick stroke. And once again, keep your brush angled mostly upright. If I was to go really slow, let's say I'll go slow, look what happens. It kind of gets a little weird. And if I angle, oh my gosh, all kinds of crazy things happen. So just remember those and practice that technique. You can even do some, curves if you want to. But just have fun, enjoy, and try those 3 things that I said. Keep the angle upward, move quickly, and and a light touch. All right, and that works for these other brushes as well. So there's the leaf decor, which is just sort of a little decorative leaf that you can add. Practice that one. And last of all, I have this clover vine brush, which is great for creating borders and wreaths and all sorts of things. Let's try it out. Let's do a sort of a wreath type of thing here. Did you see what happened? When I create a circle and I hold, Procreate will try to resize it and make it like a sort of perfect either oval or circle. So I'll do that. I'll go around in a circle and then I hold and look. Whee! That's just kind of a fun thing that Procreate gives you. So I'll do another one, maybe a little bigger. And then pause. Whee! All right. A couple other brushes that you have is there is a smooth stem for creating stems or even some decorative elements maybe if you want to create some decorations. And there's also a ridged stem that has ridges to it. Last but not least, I have a little ladybug brush for you as a bonus. So let me show you that brush. Here's the ladybug brush and it's 2-color. So I have to pick 2 colors for the ladybug brush. So if red is going to be, let me see. Oh, it would be black would be the dark color. So I have to put black into there. And let's see, black, and then black. And then I can add the red to the left swatch. I click it, and I have a red here. Let's give it a shot. Full opacity, and voila! Wow, it's like that easy. And there's your ladybug. Now, if you want to add some highlights and so forth, then you could go ahead and also add a clipping mask to this layer. So I would go ahead and add a layer above it, click it, add clipping mask, and that way it'll keep everything inside that you paint on top of it. And it'll work a little separately too, which is nice. So I'll go ahead and maybe I'll add a white. I'll use an airbrush. Here's airbrush. I like this soft airbrush a lot. Let's see. I'll make it kind of transparent. And I can brush on some highlights to really make this ladybug look even more dimensional. And then if I want to, I can, since it's on a separate layer, I can go into here, I click the little N, normal, and I can pick different blending modes for that. Or I could just use the opacity slider and maybe change the opacity a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and add a few little highlights to my ladybug, and you're welcome to watch. But that's the last little bonus brush that you can use, and you can put a couple little ladybugs on your pansies. I hope you enjoy this, because I know I did. I really enjoyed creating these and thinking about the happiness that it'll bring to some of you. And these are for sale on my website at erisklein.com, or you can go to my Etsy shop at Eris Klein Designs. Okay, well, you enjoy. Keep being creative.